Good morning, YouTube. Today we're going to be making soap. Again, this is different soap. This is bar soap that I absolutely love. I love it. I love it. It works really well. Traditional bar soap, they run at about 5% super fat. I use 2%, so there's a little bit of difference there. And we're going to split this video into different sections. This first bit's going to be on the computer. Awesome. Alright, so go to google.com. No, we're going to go to www.soapcalc.net. And then once here, we're going to click on the recipe calculator. Ta-da! Quick overview. Number 1. These are numbered 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 7. Number 1, sodium hydroxide gives you a firm bar soap. Potassium hydroxide will give you something more like Castile soap, a liquid laundry detergent. So we're going to go with sodium hydroxide. We're going to use ounces. 16 ounces is 1 pound. Number 3, water as a percentage of oil. We're going to go 38, and I found that this number doesn't really change the saponification overall factor. What it does is it slows your dry time, and in slowing the dry time, you're also slowing how fast it saponifies. So 38 is a good number for me. Now, like I said, traditionally super fats run at 5%, but I don't like how it makes my legs sticky or my body sticky. My legs start to chafe and blah. So I'm going to bump this down to 2%, and I really do like 2%. I use it for hair shampoo, body soap, whatever. So 2%. Fragrance, we're going to leave it at a ½ ounce, and I'm going to split that here in just a minute. And this is the stuff on the side that we're looking at that we want to stay within our ranges. Okay, these are down here. These are all the fats, the fatty acids that are included. I don't traditionally pay attention much to this because I'm kind of limited by my ingredients. And then my saturated to unsaturated ratio. I don't have to worry about that either. Okay, what I do need to worry about is what oils go into it. And while I've never tried 92, I kind of want to, but I haven't had the need to. I can get 76 degree coconut oil at Walmart. So we'll click add, and by weight, this is going to be 20% of our weight. And I heard one woman state never go above 20%. And the biggest reason I found is like when you're using it for shampoo, it turns into like this waxy buildup-y residue stuff, and it's just kind of gross. It doesn't work so well. So never go above 20%. And then cow tallow, beef tallow, tallow beef. Add, and this is going to be 80%. And then once that's typed in, those are the 2 ingredients plus the oil. Calculate recipe, number 7 here. And this number needs to come up to 100%. As an example, if I were to type in, what is it, shea butter, and add that, let's say we want maybe 1% shea butter, right? Calculate the recipe. We get an error that it doesn't equal 100%. So all of those need to come up to 100. This here needs to come to 16 because we set it previously right there. So we're going to click this little minus button to get rid of that. Or we could choose our item number, line number. Okay, calculate recipe. Nothing happened. Yes, it did. After you click the calculate recipe button, you have to click on this view or print recipe tab button. Alright, now we have all of the stuff that we just talked about up here. Our saturated to unsaturated ratio, which again I don't really worry about because everything's automated in this case, but Mathematically, there are ways of doing this. 2% super fat, our lye concentration. Okay, but I want to look at those specifically. We have our water amount in ounces, our sodium hydroxide amount in ounces, our oils, our fragrance. The oils are split into their respective constituents. And I'm going to put a side note, 7.5 milliliters DAMASK rose essential oil, 7.5 milliliters spearmint essential oil. And then that will give us our 15 milliliters. Okay, looks good. We'll print this out and we'll start cooking. Ooh, how do I stop the video? Alt R. I got this. I can figure this out. Let's start off with the required ingredients and utensils. So first thing we have here is an immersion blender, Walmart. Sodium hydroxide, Walmart. And if you'll notice, 100% lye. Does it have pH buffers? Probably. Meh, that's what I use. And I can source it. A temperature gauge. A Taylor scale that's good for ounces and grams, down to the half gram. You're going to need damask oil or any type of essential oil that you want. I use these. I have good results. The damask came from eBay, rose oil, and the spearmint came from Walmart. Pipettes for the oils, a glass jar, a big glass measuring bowl, coconut oil, beef tallow. Now there is a difference between cow tallow and pig lard. The pig lard has a really rank smell to it when it's done, and it doesn't wash out entirely. So beware of that. And distilled water. And then I'm going to throw in something real quick. One thing that you're really going to need is a French press. You got grounds there. You pour in the hot water. Just past the line there. And then the cool part is this forces all the grounds to the bottom after it steeps. So you let it sit up for about 5 minutes and let it steep. And then push this down. Really, really good cup of coffee. Okay, we're going to start with sodium hydroxide first. And after you powder it on, you have to push the tare button. That completely zeroes out the weight. So even though there's a cup on there, it's zeroed out. Gloves. Pretend I'm wearing safety glasses because this stuff does splash and you do not want to get this in your eyes. We need 2.36 ounces of sodium hydroxide. 2.36 ounces. Let's see if I can do this so that you guys can see it. Maybe I need to change my camera angle. 2.36 ounces. And as warning again, this stuff is very caustic. It'll melt your skin. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Fight Club, but when he pours the sodium hydroxide on the guy's hand, it melted his skin down to the bone. So just be careful. We're at 2.14, 2.46, 2.35, 2.38, too much. 2.38 still. This scale's decent. It's not the greatest, but it gets the job done. 235, 236. Okay. And now we need to measure out our water. So we'll set that off to the side. Pause the video, or just see what I got here. We'll tear that out. I need to get rid of this spoon and hydroxide, so I'm going to pause the video. Got our cup on there. We're going to tear it out again. We're looking for 6.08 ounces. And this is the stuff that we get from Safeway. Let's see if I can measure this without making a mess. 6.08. 6.08. Ooh, too much. I'm going to take our little pipette. 6.16. 6.09. We're going for 6.08. 6, 7, 8. 6.08. On the money. Oh, 6.09. No! Honestly, this part right here doesn't really matter that much. But you want to get it as accurate as possible. There we go. Okay. Now the rules of chemistry. Powder into liquid. You do not pour the liquid into the powder. Bad. You do pour the powder into liquid because it's a controlled rate. Let's get this out of here. Alright, so I'm going to slowly pour, and keep in mind that this is going to get up to about 200 degrees, maybe 300 degrees. This is going to get super hot. Borosilicate, borosilicate. Okay? And while I'm doing that, I want to be stirring it. Good enough. This straw is made out of HDPE. If you just dump it in, it'll turn into a rock that forms at the bottom of the cup, and it makes it really difficult to stir. A lot of people recommend doing this outside because this will give off fumes, off gases, and even if you breathe a little bit of it, you'll start gagging and it'll burn your throat. Beautimous, beautimous. Okay, I'm going to take my mixing stick, and I've got some on there. I want to save that. So, before this gets too hot, I'm going to pour it back in there. Okay, I'm going to put this in the sink with my other utensils. Let those neutralize. And I'm going to stir this up a little bit more. I was saying, don't inhale this, it's nasty. Cool. So we're going to let that cool off. I want this down to 80 degrees, 80, 90 degrees. Straw's going to go in the sink. Okay, let's find out how hot this actually is right now. This is 165 degrees. The more lye you add to that, the hotter it's going to get. If you're doing a 2-pound batch, this gets a lot harder. Still 165. Some people will set this on ice So I'm going to put it in the freezer. I'm probably going to put it in my freezer just to cool it off faster. Time to melt some oils. Put my 8 cup mixing bowl, measuring cup on there. Make sure it's zeroed out. And I think I'm going to start with the tallow first. And I need a spatula. Okay, tallow. Pull up my cue card here. Tallow. Where is it? There we go. Number 2. We're at tallow, 362.87 grams, or 12.8 ounces. So we're going to go 12.8 ounces. 12.8 ounces. 12.8 ounces. I hope I have 12 ounces. I should. That's 9. 12.95. 12.34. 7.4. Are we doing 12.8? 12.8. 12.83. 12.82. What? How are you 12.72? Didn't take out that much. 12.78. 12.8 ounces. Perfect. Now I'm going to scrape all the rest of this off, put it back into my container, which in chemistry you should never do for cross-contamination purposes. But I'm pretty thorough about cross-contaminating my own stuff. So, okay, next we're going to zero this out, tear it out, lay it on my tallow. My spatula somewhere where I don't care. There we go. Put my spatula on the paper towel. What am I looking at next? Coconut oil. We're at 3.2 ounces coconut oil. Okay, we can do that. Tear it out again just to make sure. I need a tablespoon. Oh, let me show you this. So I was smart and I was like, hey, I'm going to pre-melt my tallow, right? Or not my tallow, but my coconut oil. Do not stick these in the microwave because this brim right here, the brim is aluminum. And it caused a big old arc and I was like, ah! I got it out in time. Alright, what are we doing? 26? 3.2 ounces. Oh, this is going to be fun. Nice and solid. It's not that warm in here, but it's not that cold either. Let's try this with a knife instead. Come on. We are at 1.2. Need a little bit more. .9. We need 3.2. 3.2. We might just have enough. 2.6. 3.27. Awesome. Too much. So let's take this off the top. 3.15. Being careful not to mix. 3.19. I want just a hair. 3.23. 3.21. 3.21. 3.20. Beautimous. Okay, now this, I'm going to show you my magic recipe for melting this, which involves a microwave. But you have to be careful with the microwave. At this point, we're done with the scale. So with this scale, it weighs stuff by the feet. So if I pick it up, the big thing is when you push the power button, you want it off the countertop, so you can push the power button and turn it off. Okay, I like this scale because it uses USB to charge. Moving on, I have this little jar for mixing. I don't know if I just showed you that or not. Yeah, little jar for mixing oils in. Honestly, if you have an empty vial or just a little cup, it'll work. What we're going to do is we're going to mix up 7.5 milliliters of the damask oil or rose oil. And they've got these little plastic stoppers in the top. I want 7.5 milliliters, and these are 3 milliliter pipettes. So what I did is I squeezed it, and then I'm coming back. I'm squeezing it out down to 2.5. Okay, there's 2.5. Squeeze it, almost 3. Bring it back down to 3. Beautimous. It's 5.5. I need 2 more. 2. Okay. There's 7.5 of the damask oil. Put the lid back on. Set that aside. Complain about me getting oil on my fingers. I don't like oils. Lid comes off. And traditionally I just throw these pipettes in the garbage. You can buy a bazillion from China for $1.50. Okay, and again, this is our spearmint. It's 7.5 milliliters. And I don't know if you can see that or not. Can you see that? Just barely. Alright, so 7.5. 3. 2.5. And 2. Okay, and I'm going to do a little science verbiage here. When measuring, can't really see that, but there's a parabola at the top. You want your measurement to be at the bottom of that parabola. So there's a little bowl, right? It makes a U. Your measuring point is from the bottom of that bowl. That's 7.5, making 15 milliliters. Put the lid back on my oil. And give it a good shake. Okay, check the microwave now. And for me, this is perfect. I'm going to tilt the camera down a little bit. If you can see, there's just a haze in the bottom of that, which means that there's still, just barely stuff that's undissolved in there. So what I'm going to do is take the whisk from my immersion blender, and I'm going to give this a good stir. I want this to come to the same temperature as my sodium hydroxide solution. So ultimately I want this to be around 80 to 90 degrees. I'm going to push for 80 because when you're mixing it, if the hotter the temperature it has, the faster the response or the reaction occurs. And I don't really like having a super fast reaction. Some of these, especially with coconut oil, you'll have 30 seconds and the whole thing will be a rock. So if you get it down to about 80 degrees, that's right on the cusp of this starting to solidify back up. It works really well. Okay, I'm going to let that sit. We're almost ready. Almost there. This is currently 119 degrees, and this is Fahrenheit, by the way. Cool. So we've got our oil, we have our sodium hydroxide. They're all just sitting, cooling off. And while these are cooling, I'm going to take the time to clean up my work area. Never, ever, ever put, even though it's a liquid here, the fat down your sink drain. This stuff will clog up your drain like nobody's business. Never put it down the drain. I got what looks like butter. It's a little bit thicker. This is the coconut oil. And that's why we need paper towels on board here. So what I'll typically do is I'll wipe off all the fat onto the paper towel, and then I'll put these in the sink. As far as the sink goes, I have a bowl that's previously set aside that has water in it, maybe a little bit of oatmeal, and that bowl can have maybe vinegar in it or something that neutralizes the sodium hydroxide. I use that spoon, I use that cup. To get in the chemistry side of it, sodium hydroxide has a pH of about 12. The water I have here has a pH of about 8.8. You want your sodium hydroxide to get down to a level of 7. 7 is pH neutral. You can drink 7. Vinegar has a pH of about, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there. So vinegar is acidic, sodium hydroxide is basic. What I'm doing with water here is I'm diluting it. So I'm raising the pH of this water from 8.8 to about 10. That's what we want. We don't want to have the caustic stuff sitting around everywhere. Welcome back, Crime Stoppers. Okay, this is perfect. It's even a little too perfect. As you can see, it's gone cloudy. Right now, this is sitting at 81.9 degrees, so 82 degrees, right on the money. This is a little cold, 70.9. In both cases, really good. What is that? Yeah, 80.6. Okay, cool. I I like. Got those. We have our oils. We do not add the oils while we're mixing this. We add that at the very end. And the reason why we do that is we don't want the essential oils saponifying. We want them for flavor. Okay, now at this step what we're going to do is we're going to slowly add the sodium hydroxide. Slowly add it. We're going to, in this case, I'm going to use a whisk instead of my immersion wand. I like the way that this saponifies a little bit slower. The whisk, it increases the rate at which stuff saponifies. So, got that. Yeah, we're just going to slowly pour it in. And what we're looking for is what's called a trace. And this is where it goes from liquid like this to something more like a cake batter. You know, a little bit thicker, not so viscous. Wear your glasses. Wear your gloves. Okay. Once you start that, there's no going back. And I'm going to mix this up for a few minutes, and you'll slowly see it start to change. You need to get it 100% mixed. It's already starting to set up, and I don't have my molds out. Alright. I'm going to call that good just because everything looks to be mixed. Pour in my oils. This is what I was talking about it saponifying really fast. This is just going to keep thickening. Everything looks to be really well mixed. I'm going to pour my oil in. Traditionally, I put my molds on a pizza pan so that I can transport them everywhere. And it's kind of weird because depending on the temperature, it will saponify faster or slower. You know, if I started at 90 degrees or even hotter, this would have been like, boom, instant saponification. But I could have waited a little bit longer to put my oils in, but it looked like it was saponifying really fast in this case, and it still might be. Yeah. We'll see. Too bad. Alright. Unhook you. And put you in the sink. Okay, and these, all 6 of these, actually, yeah, I guess this will hold 16 ounces. I go a little bit less. I don't have to scrape it off the top. I see there's just enough to make 6 of these, and then plus a little bit more. I'll probably pour this into just an empty mold. But you can see how it's starting to become like honey, or how it's thickening up, even on the top. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. See how it's mounding right there? That's the consistency that you want to get it to, where it's just starting to mound. And I may or may not be able to fill this one. So it looks like I plan to just dry. The only change up that I would have done differently is I would have added the oil just a slightly bit later. But as you can see, this stuff's saponified really quick. Real quickly. And I'm not a big fan of scraping the pan, just because there may or may not be unreacted chemicals on the side. Unreacted fats, unreacted lye. But I think I did a pretty decent job of getting them mixed. Now, as a side note, let me zoom back out. Okay, we're going to set these. I'm going to actually set these in my oven, because nobody's going to use the oven, knock on wood, to cure. And I'm going to let them cure for probably 48 hours. I'm going to just set them in here. Nobody uses the oven for 48 hours. I let them know. But as a side note, look at my countertops. Look at that. All that is from the soap making process. This countertop had a polyurethane coat on it. And look at this. I mean, that right there, I don't know if that was from a chemical reaction or if that was from heat. This chemical burn. So just be wary of it. I mean, little spatters and stuff. I have a spatter right there and right there. I need to get those wiped up. But that's it, guys. We just let those sit for 24 to 48 hours and unbox, and then you're going to want to let them dry out for 4 to 6 weeks, and you have yourself some soap. Oh my gosh, guys. Look at what past me sent future me in the mail. It's a bar of soap. Open it up. Check this out. This stuff is awesome. I used a page out of a book. You will notice that there's a little bit of oxidation that occurs on the bar. With one washing, it just rinses off. So there you have it. Merry Christmas.